Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far with Rostermania questions massively still continuing. A big one has been what exactly are Boston Breach and other teams down on the poverty org side of the spectrum potentially going to be doing. Methodz is reminiscing on his time on the Boston Breach organisation, saying that he was absolutely the hard carry, the god himself in the server way back in Vanguard. That did not last all that long, but could a player like Methodz actually be very valuable to a team like Boston right now, trying to rebuild for the upcoming season? Or is their team going to be locked in, and potentially some of the guys that wanted to go to Boston maybe could have to consider other opportunities? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Former Boston player TJ Halley has been very vocal over the last few years on changing the third game mode. This, for example, if you search TJ Halley CTF on Twitter, you will find the following tweets. And, CTF better than Dom. COD needs CTF back. CTF would be godlike in this game. We need CTF back next year. There's no way people think Dom is better than CTF. Gridiron better than CTF, though, he says back in 2017, of course, for the World War II season. So he's been pretty vocal on the third game mode, and here we are in the off-season, and that means we are going to talk about it again. So there was some talk this season whether the third game mode could change. Hardpoint ain't going anywhere. Search and Destroy ain't going anywhere. We are back on a tryout game. They invented Control, right? They bought it in Black Ops 4. So I don't expect us to play anything else, and there's been a feeling lately that that is just going to be how it is. There are other game modes to consider. People always talk about the return of potentially of Uplink, right? So Uplink from Advanced Warfare, which was first introduced over there. Black Ops 3 Infinite Warfare was played in competitive as well. There's a satellite, as they used to call it, but effectively a ball spawns in on the map, and if you throw it into the opponent's portal, you get 1 point. If you dunk it in, you get 2 points. It's only really possible to make great in a jetpack game because you can double jump jetpack into the portal. You can intercept a throw as well with the jetpacks. So they tried it in World War II, boots on the ground. They called it Gridiron, and it was basically the portal was on the floor, and it didn't really hit the same. They played Capture the Flag that year instead. This, however, is one game mode that I've thought about before, and actually I think it was TGU Swag here mentioned on the Reddit, so I thought it'd be interesting to look at. This is One Flag CTF, which I believe came in as a limited time game mode in Black Ops 2, and I think I remember playing it on a map called Pod quite a lot. This is Dig. Actually, I think Dig was even rumored to be coming back in this upcoming title, so we'll see if that happens. But this is also pretty legendary, right? They're playing this game where we've got BL Fire, Embos, Mr. X, Sender, Assassin, Doug, Replays, and T Martin. Like, what a time that is. And also an interesting time for COD when T Martin, Ali A, these other kind of like big creators were very heavily involved in the competitive scene. And it was obviously a great time for the crossover, right? But One Flag CTF effectively is uplink but boots on the ground in some ways. The flag spawns in the middle of the map, and you have to take it to their base in order to get a capture, or if they take it to your base, they get a capture. So, it's CTF, but arguably it's more entertaining to watch at least, because you're not just sitting, basically every CTF map where usually plays is somebody's just camping at the back of the spawn trying to defend their flag, aren't they? And from a competitive perspective, that's probably fine, but the argument would be that from an entertainment perspective, CTF does leave something, at the very least, to be desired, and I think that's a fair point. So, One Flag CTF, I don't know if it's coming back in this game, it probably isn't, but if it does, I think it would be worthy of consideration because, I think it's a pretty reasonable competitive game mode. We've not seen it particularly often, and it's one that could be considered as a legitimate replacement for, obviously an uplink, which isn't going to happen, or Control, which I think many people have got kind of tired of over the last few years. Many would say, is it about time that Control goes and something else comes back in? And we've talked about this, right? This is April last year. Of course, Zinni and Scump, they're talking about should Capture the Flag come in to replace Control. Control was not good in Modern Warfare 2. It was not good in Vanguard. I mean, in Vanguard, it wasn't even in the game for the first couple of months of it, right? Which, was kind of ridiculous. And then, of course, people are talking Uplink as well, because this is some of the legendary moments here from the Uplink, game modes back in the day. Advanced Warfare, this is, I think, TJ Halley hitting the last-minute buzzer beater as he does. Yeah, here we go. Denial Esports versus Stunner Gaming, as he was known then, Toast, right? Hits the throw, and here he is in the pajamas, like, absolutely buzzing about the victory. And Shotzzy actually mentioned on stream, it was a talking point a couple of years ago now for Modern Warfare 2, on Capture the Flag potentially coming in, right? So, CTF is often in the game files, it's often talked about as a potential third game mode. It very rarely, if ever, is actually really talked about. And for some reason, there's been a feeling over the last couple of years that the third game mode is going to be control, and that's just what the league have decided, and therefore, like, that is just what it is effectively. So, you know, domination has been ruled out. I'm not going to talk about that again, but that's been the theory anyway. So what do you guys think in the comments below? Should we be considering another third game mode option for this year? But speaking of some of those older seasons, definitely wanted to share what Zinni had to say on this year, of course, because this was Zinni's last full year competing as a player. This was his roster during Major 2 that season, of course, that very famous Major 2 during Vanguard that was played in Minnesota, that Los Angeles Guerrillas somehow managed to win. They made a bit of a loser's run. They took down Boston on that loser's run. They took down, I think, Florida on that loser's run. Then they made the finals and they played FaZe, and they somehow beat FaZe in the grand finals there. But yeah, Boston had a good chance that event to do some serious damage. This was their team at the time. Pretty legendary team, honestly, with TJ and Capsidol. Nero had a pretty rough stage by the standards that he's gone on to develop over the last year or so. Capsidol as well, I will say, in this Rostermania period, interesting player to note, just because of, well, Cap is a very fast, aggressive player who will be good with the Omni movement. We talked about it earlier on today. Both of these guys, actually, I think this applies to, because Capsidol, Nero, they both similar players on some levels. They have their downsides. They will play very fast and aggressive. They will make mistakes. They will throw their lives away at times. And maybe you need to pair one of these guys with someone who has a bit more stability, maybe like a TJ or whatever, as they, to be fair, had back at the time. But in the modern game, let's say when Black Ops 6 arrives, is Capsidol going to probably be very good for the first couple of months of the game? I think I'd argue probably yes. So he is a name that I would at least be considering, but he was on that team and had a pretty good stage here back at Major 2 in Vanguard, but it was Methodz who had one of the best stages ever. So I wanted to share what Zinni said on this, and of course any clip where someone's playing Black Ops 3 in the background, I'm going to want to share. So he's talking with TJ here about the time back in, obviously, Boston Breach in the Vanguard year. He even mentioned the other day, Zinni, that he possibly feels like he retired too early. He could have given the entirety of the 2023 season a go and then done what he's gone on to do today, joining OpTic, and of course the rest being history over there. But the Vanguard season, he was, you know, up and down. Obviously, Boston have never been great as an organization, but Zinni did have his moments for sure.
I've gifted, and I'll say you carried that boss.
Do you think you carried that team? Be honest.
What team? In Vanguard?
Yeah.
For a little bit, I definitely was carrying. I was God for a full stage. Stage 2.
Wait, you think you carried stage 2?
I know I what?
What? Yo, Kev, you in the stream?
Stage 2 Vanguard? I was the GOAT.
What?
I was literally the GOAT.
Go watch it back, bro. Go watch it back.
Stage 2?
Watch it back.
I was a god.
Bro, Zim was going 17-5, where I'm going 30-20.
Damn, no way. So you think I was just KD farming?
I don't know, I'm showing you were good. You were good. I'm not gonna lie. We were actually all playing hella good that stage.
Yeah, just a shame that I got costed at the event.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know why the fuck did we shoot Slash?
I don't know, dude. Oh, that was Dill, bro. I know that was Cap. That was Cap.
Yeah, why did my rookie dumbass shoot fucking dumbass Slasher's body, dude?
He's shooting Thanos' body, dude.
Yeah, he just started snapping at us. I just saw you guys start disappearing like dust. Bill just kept hitting through P search. Shit is hilarious.
Still love that P2 fucking voting, bro.
Yeah, remember when Zach would just act fake mad?
So this was Methodz player card for that stage, a 6-3 overall record. Obviously 2 championship wins for Methodz, one of which being MLG, I guess it was CW Atlanta 2018 that he won the MVP for in Rise Nation. And then on Toronto when they won their own home series, yes, that was online, but they won their own home series when Methodz was over there, before then going into Cobb where he got dropped, and then Insight came in, then he ends up on Boston later, well, basically the next year he ends up on Boston, right? And to be fair to Methodz, as much as he gets like clowned on people, like maybe disrespect his career on some level, and I get it just because, you know, of the players that he's alongside, the likes of Scump and Shotzzy and others that he's like there and making content with and talking to and all this. Obviously Methodz' career wasn't, you know, star-studded in terms of world championship wins and everything like this, but to be fair to Methodz, he did have like basically every single year he would at least have one stage where he was like one of the absolute best players in the game, and that was, to be fair to him, stage stage 2 in Vanguard, right? He's not wrong when he talks about just being God himself on the server. Like, these numbers are very impressive, and people would say, oh, well, you know, playing for kills and all this. But look, Boston were legit this stage, Methodz was legit this stage, and obviously they could have potentially gone further at the major. I mean, that's the frustrating thing for many, including, I'm sure, Zinni himself at that major 2 in Vanguard, is that, well, Gorillas won. I mean, like, are we serious? And as he said in that clip there, Capsule shooting Slash's body. That's a pretty famous moment in hindsight, because at that point Gunless decided, okay, we're going to lock in, we're going to win this game 5, and the rest from there is going to be history. To be fair to Methodz, after this tournament, basically, things didn't end up going so well. These were his overall major kind of cards for that season. So he had a 78 overall major 1, that 98 cards major 2, then he had a pretty rough stage, right? So he went from being the man on the server major 2, major 3, obviously not quite as pretty, especially in Search and Destroy. I feel like this is a relatively common thing as well. I don't know why this happens so often, but I've seen a few times over the last couple of years of players having dominant Search and Destroy runs on a particular stage, and next stage they're just terrible at it. I mean, like, look at Zinni's numbers here. He had 0 first bloods in an entire stage, and his kills per round went down massively. I think even Simp, like, he's in good company here, Zinni, because Simp had this at the start of, I don't know if it was last season or the year before, but he had an unreal Search and Destroy stage, then it just fell off. I don't know if part of it is obviously other teams watching VODs, or whether part of it is that, you know, a player has their own certain ways to play, and then all of a sudden it starts to not work quite as well, and therefore they change things up because they feel like they're getting hard counted. I don't know, but yeah, Methodz obviously had a good stage there. The end of the season ended up pretty well, and then he played a couple of stages, of course, in Modern Warfare 2, before then deciding to call it a day on that Boston Breach organization, retire, the future is green, all that type of stuff. But it doesn't seem like Methodz is going to be coming back to Boston, of course, any time soon, and the big question really lately has been on what they are going to do with their roster and exactly where this fits into Rostermania, right? Because on some level you could argue that maybe Boston miss that team when Methodz was around, because when Zinni was there, their results at least were more consistent, slightly better. They were delivering reasonable outcomes, not where they wanted to be. You know, they wanted to be winning events, they wanted to be making more championship Sundays. They never really did much of that. But you know, they've decided to turn it around. We know that now their roster is probably going to be sticking from EWC unless somebody comes in with a big buyout for the entire organization. That's been kind of the latest rumor, right, is that Boston now are going to go slightly more down the Los Angeles Gorillas direction of becoming, well, poverty org adjacent, shall we say. One thing that Boston are still doing, though, is they're still going to make some sort of content series, so there clearly is some budget remaining over there, but maybe they're just going to run it down until they can eventually get out of this league and someone wants to buy their spot. That's the current rumor. The EWC roster, by the way, is as follows. They did pretty well at EWC, right? Like, they got through their groups in the end. They made it to the bracket. They then went down in the bracket, but they did pretty well. Cammy quite impressed me. Awakening quite impressed me. His Search and Destroy was awful, but his respawns were pretty damn good. Certainly had his impactful moments. So, you know, I think that AR duo is pretty okay. I kind of like the sign of it. The SMG duo can be a concern. Purge is an interesting acquisition, right? And we know that Purge tends to get the best out of his teammates. He can add value in the server for sure. The real debate, I guess, for the new season is how good Snoopy can be, because Snoopy didn't have the best performance at the World Cup. He had his moments, he always tends to, but you know, they need this team, Snoopy, to be a dominant SMG force, top 5 SMG in the game, if they are going to be a competitive outfit, and I think the team is set up to achieve that. They just need Snoopy to be that guy, and like, they've committed to Snoopy, right? Boston have committed to Snoopy over the last couple of years with the intention that, yes, he is going to be and become that guy. Whether that happens, that is nonetheless another question. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Subliners branding, it seems, is going to be sunset, right? We're pretty sure that it's just going to become Cloud9. It might still be Cloud9 New York, it might be Cloud9 somewhere else if they could relocate. And an organization and a branding that I'm not going to lie, I wasn't massively attuned with when it first arrived. Like, I didn't really get the whole Subliners branding, the logo. I wasn't really a massive fan. But over the last couple of years, it's certainly grown on me. And it will be a shame on some level to see this organization go. But, you know, how many organizations did we see go from the CDL over the last few years? You could not count them on a couple of hands, it seems, at this point. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.